The transport ship landed on Velthara Prime with a soft hiss. Hyunwoo stepped off the ramp and looked around at the Galactic Naval Academy. The buildings were tall and white, reaching toward the pale blue sky. Everything looked perfect and clean. Too clean, he thought. Other students walked across the courtyard. Most of them were tall and thin like the Altarians, with their long arms and graceful movements. Some were shorter with gray skin like the Centaurians. A few had dark scales like the Drachmarians. All of them stopped to stare at him. Hyun-Woo walked toward the main building. His heavy boots made loud sounds on the smooth ground. The other students stepped back to give him room. He could hear them whispering. "Is that the human?" one asked. "He looks so thick," another said. "I heard they come from a death world," a third student whispered. "But he looks normal." At the registration desk, a tall Altarian with silver hair looked down at him. Her name tag said Instructor Kira. "You must be the exchange student from Terra," she said. Her voice was soft and musical. "We have heard many stories about your world." "Stories?" Hyunwoo asked. Kira smiled. "Oh yes, wild tales about impossible gravity and deadly weather. The kind of stories every harsh world tells about itself." She handed him a data pad. "Your room assignment and class schedule." "Thank you," Hyunwoo said. He held out his hand. Kira looked at his outstretched hand with confusion. "Is something wrong with your hand?" "No, it's a greeting, a handshake." Hyunwoo kept his hand extended. Kira carefully placed her long, thin fingers in his palm. Hyunwoo gently closed his hand around hers and moved it up and down twice. Kira's eyes went wide. She pulled her hand back quickly. "How interesting," she said, rubbing her fingers. "Such a firm greeting." In the dining hall, Hyunwoo sat alone at a table. The food was bland but filling. He watched the other students eat. They used delicate movements and small bites. Everything they did seemed careful and planned. A group of students at the next table were talking loudly enough for him to hear. "My professor says humans claim their world has storms that can destroy cities," said a Centaurian with dark gray skin. His name was Vex. "Impossible," replied a Drachmarian female with green scales. "No species could survive such conditions and still build spacecraft." Her name tag read, Nox. "Maybe they live underground," suggested another student. "I heard they say their world has creatures that hunt other creatures for food," Vex continued. "Can you imagine? Eating other living things instead of growing food properly." The students all laughed. Hyunwoo continued eating his meal. A tall Altarian male approached his table. "Mind if I sit?" he asked. His name was Jin. "Please do," Hyunwoo said. Jin sat down carefully. "I wanted to apologize for the others. They don't mean harm. It's just that every world has legends about being tougher than others." "Legends?" Hyunwoo asked. "Well, yes. Like the stories about Terra being a death world, where the gravity crushes bones and the air burns lungs." Jin smiled kindly. "We know. Such places can't really exist. Not with intelligent life." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "I see. The tales say humans can survive in any environment, that they heal from wounds in days instead of weeks, that they can run for hours without stopping." Jin laughed gently. "Wonderful stories, but obviously impossible." "Obviously," Hyunwoo agreed. That evening, Hyunwoo walked around the academy grounds. The artificial lights were soft and warm. The air was perfectly clean with just enough moisture. The gravity was light, making each step feel like he might float away. He found a small garden behind the dormitories. Other students were there, sitting on soft benches and talking quietly. The night air was still and peaceful. No wind, no sounds except gentle conversation. Hyun-Woo sat on an empty bench. The metal was thin and creaked under his weight. He pulled out his personal communicator and sent a message home. "Day 1 at the academy. The other students seem nice. They think Earth is a myth. Miss the sound of rain. Everything here is very quiet." A news broadcast played on a large screen near the garden entrance. The reporter, a serious-looking Centaurian, was talking about political tensions. Border conflicts with the Korthak Empire continue to worry Federation officials, the reporter said. Military experts warn that the aggressive Korthak may be preparing for a larger expansion beyond their current territory. The students in the garden talked quietly among themselves. The Korthak are scary, one whispered. They're so big and strong. I heard they come from a world with heavy gravity, another said. That's why they're so powerful. The Federation military will handle them, a confident voice replied. We have better technology. Hyunwoo listened but said nothing. He had heard of the Korthak, large armored beings who ruled their section of the galaxy through strength. Their homeworld was supposed to be harsh and dangerous. Back in his dormitory room, Hyunwoo looked around at the soft furniture and gentle lighting. Everything was designed for comfort and safety. The bed was large and soft. The temperature was perfectly controlled. Even the water from the tap was exactly the right temperature without adjustment. His roommate was a young Altarian named Kai. He was already in bed reading something on a datapad. The gravity here is lighter than your world, isn't it? Kai asked politely. Yes, much lighter, Hyunwoo replied. That must be nice. I can't imagine living somewhere with heavy gravity. How do you move around? You get used to it. Kai looked curious. Is it true that Terra has weather that changes without warning? Sometimes. How do you plan activities if you don't know what the weather will be? Hyunwoo thought about this. You learn to be ready for anything. That sounds stressful, Kai said. He went back to his reading. Hyun-Woo lay down on his bed. Through the window, he could see the academy's perfect grounds under artificial starlight. Everything was controlled and safe. No surprises, no dangers, no challenges. He closed his eyes and listened to the silence. No wind, no rain, no distant thunder. Just perfect, peaceful, quiet. Tomorrow would bring his first classes. He wondered what his instructors would think when they learned more about Earth. Would they continue to laugh at the Deathworld legends? He smiled in the darkness. They would learn soon enough. Outside his window, the artificial stars shone steadily in the controlled sky, never changing, never moving, never threatening the perfect peace of Velthara Prime. The training center was huge and white like everything else on Velthara Prime. Hyunwoo followed the other students through the entrance. Their instructor was a tall Altarian named Commander Quinn. His silver uniform had many medals on the chest. Today, we test your physical abilities, Commander Quinn announced. Each species has different strengths. We will find yours. The first test was in the gravity chamber. Commander Quinn led them to a large room with thick walls. This chamber can create different gravity levels, he explained. We will start with standard Velthara gravity and slowly increase it. The other students looked nervous. Vex, the Centaurian, was already breathing harder just thinking about it. Don't worry, Commander Quinn said with a smile. We won't go above 1.2 standard. That would be dangerous. Hyunwoo almost laughed. 1.2 standard was lighter than Earth's normal gravity. They entered the chamber in groups of 5. Hyunwoo went with Vex, Nox the Drakmarian, Jin, and a quiet Veltharian named Soyoung. Beginning test. Commander Quinn's voice came through speakers. Current setting, 1.0 standard. The others looked fine. This was normal gravity for most Federation worlds. Increasing to 1.1, the voice announced. Vex started breathing harder. Nox's scales changed color slightly. Jin moved more carefully. Increasing to 1.2. Vex sat down heavily, gasping. This is difficult, he said. Nox was sweating. Her dark scales looked wet. How do beings live in such conditions? Jin was holding onto the wall for support. This must be what Korthak worlds feel like. Soyoung, the Veltharian, was the strongest of the others, but she was moving very slowly and carefully. Hyun-Woo stood normally. He didn't feel any difference. The gravity was still much lighter than home. Are you all right? Commander Quinn's voice asked through the speakers. He was clearly asking the others, not Hyunwoo. We're fine, Jin said. though he was clearly struggling. "How is the human handling the increased gravity?" Commander Quinn asked. Hyun-Woo looked up at the camera, in the corner. "This is increased gravity?" The chamber went silent for a moment. "Test complete," Commander Quinn announced. "Please exit the chamber." Outside, the other students collapsed on benches, breathing hard. Hyun-Woo stood normally, not even tired. Commander Quinn approached him. "How do you feel?" "Fine. That was lighter than normal for me." Commander Quinn made notes on his datapad. "Interesting." The next test was the environmental chamber. It was designed to test how students handled harsh conditions. "This chamber will simulate a difficult environment," Commander Quinn explained. "Temperature will drop, humidity will increase, and there will be strong air currents." The other students put on protective gear, thick coats, breathing masks, and heavy boots. "Don't you need protection?" So Young asked Hyun-Woo. "I'll see how it goes first," he replied. They entered the chamber. The temperature was cool but comfortable. The humidity made the air feel thick. Fans created wind that moved around the room. Within minutes, the other students were shivering. Even with their protective gear, they were cold and wet. "This is terrible," Vex said through his breathing mask. "How can anyone survive such conditions?" Thunder sounds played through speakers. Lightning flashed from lights in the ceiling. Nox jumped at each thunder sound. "This is worse than a storm on Drakmar." Jin was shaking from the cold. "This simulation is too extreme." So Young was huddled against a wall, trying to stay warm. Hyun-Woo walked around the chamber normally. The conditions reminded him of a mild spring storm back home. He had played outside in worse weather as a child. "Are you cold?" So Young asked him. "Not really. This is nice weather." "Nice?" She stared at him in disbelief. Commander Quinn's voice came through the speakers again. "How are you feeling, Cadet Hyun-Woo?" "This feels like home," Hyun-Woo replied honestly. Another long silence from the control room. The next day brought a new student. Her name was Da-un, another human from Earth. She arrived on the same kind of transport ship Hyun-Woo had used. Da-Yun was shorter than Hyun-Woo with dark hair and quick movements. She smiled easily and talked to everyone she met. "Another human," Vex whispered to his friends. "Do you think she's like him?" They found out quickly. In engineering class, they were working with metal cutting tools. The instructor, a careful Centaurian named Professor Tex, showed them how to use the equipment safely. "These tools can cause injury," he warned. "Always wear protection and move slowly." So Young was working next to Da-un, cutting a piece of metal for their project. The tool slipped and cut So Young's finger. Blue blood flowed from the wound. So Young screamed and dropped the tool. "Help, I'm injured!" The other students backed away in panic. Injuries were serious business for most Federation species. "Professor." Tex started calling for medical help. Yun calmly took So Young's hand and looked at the cut. "It's not deep," she said. "You'll be fine." She pulled a small kit from her bag and cleaned the wound. So Young watched in amazement as Da-un applied pressure to stop the bleeding, then put a small bandage over the cut. "There," Da-un said. "Keep it dry for a few days." Professor Tex arrived with medical staff, but the bleeding had already stopped. "How did you treat the wound so quickly?" the medic asked. "It was just a small cut," Da-un explained. The medic examined So Young's finger. "This kind of injury usually requires surgery and several days in the medical center." "Surgery?" Da-un looked confused. For that little cut, word spread quickly through the academy. The humans could treat serious injuries like they were nothing. That evening, a new group of students arrived for a survival exercise. They would spend 3 days on the academy's small moon. It was supposed to be the hardest test of the year. "The moon has no atmosphere," Commander Quinn explained. "You will have breathing equipment. The temperature drops below freezing at night. You must survive with basic supplies only." Most students looked worried. Spending 3 days in such harsh conditions was frightening. "The third human student will join this exercise. Commander Quinn announced. Cadet Taeho arrived this morning. Taeho was tall and strong with a quiet voice. He listened carefully as Commander Quinn explained the survival rules. You will be divided into groups. Each group gets one shelter, basic food, and emergency equipment. Hyunwoo, Da-yoon, and Taeho were placed in different groups. The Academy wanted to see how they performed with alien teammates. Hyun-woo. Quote, S group included Vex, Nox, and Jin. They looked nervous about depending on the human for survival. On the moon, the temperature was cold but not freezing. The artificial atmosphere was thin but breathable. The landscape was rocky with low hills. Vex immediately started setting up their emergency shelter. We need to stay inside where it's safe, he said. Nox was checking their food supplies nervously. We have enough for 3 days if we're very careful. Jin was testing their communication equipment. At least we can call for help if something goes wrong. Hyunwoo looked around at the landscape. It reminded him of camping trips in the mountains back home. The rocks would provide good shelter from wind. There were plants that looked edible. This is a nice place, he said. The others stared at him like he was crazy. When night came, the temperature dropped. The other students huddled inside their shelter, sharing body heat and using their emergency heating units. Hyun-woo sat outside, looking up at the stars. Aren't you cold? Jin called from inside the shelter. Not really. It's warmer than winter back home. Through the thin walls of the shelter, he could hear the others talking quietly. How is he not freezing? Vex whispered. Maybe the Deathworld stories are true, Nox replied. Don't be silly, Jin said. No world could be that harsh. But his voice didn't sound as sure as before. The emergency alarm woke everyone at the academy. Hyunwoo sat up in his bed as red lights flashed in his room. His roommate Kai was already standing by the window looking scared. What's happening? Hyunwoo asked. Emergency assembly, Kai said. His voice was shaking. Something big is happening. They dressed quickly and ran to the main hall. Hundreds of students were already there, talking in worried voices. The instructors looked serious and frightened. Commander Quinn walked onto the stage. His usually calm face was pale. Students, I have serious news, he began. 3 Federation border systems have fallen to Korthak forces. The hall erupted in frightened voices. Students from those systems started crying. Others looked around in panic. The Korthak Empire has begun full military expansion, Commander Quinn continued. They have destroyed 3 complete star systems in less than 2 days. Hyunwoo heard Vex whisper, 2 days? How is that possible? The Federation Council is meeting now to discuss our response, Commander Quinn said. Until then, the Academy is under security alert. After the assembly, students gathered in small groups talking fearfully about the Korthak. I heard they're 3 meters tall, one student said. My cousin saw a Korthak warrior once. He said they have armor like starship hulls, another added. They come from Grimhold, one of the harshest worlds known, Nox said. Heavy gravity, toxic storms, deadly creatures everywhere. That's why they're so strong, Jin agreed. They evolved to survive impossible conditions. Da-yoon, who was listening nearby, looked confused. How heavy is their gravity? Almost 3 times Federation standard, Vex replied. No normal being could survive there. 3 times? Da-yoon asked. That's all? The others stared at her. What? Do you mean that's all? Nox demanded. Well, Earth's gravity is about 3.2 times Federation standard, Da-yoon explained. So their world is actually a bit lighter than ours. The conversation stopped. Everyone was staring at Da-yoon now. That's impossible, Vex said finally. No one could live in such gravity. We do, Hyunwoo said simply. More students gathered. Around them. Word was spreading that the humans were claiming their world had heavier gravity than the feared Korthak homeworld. You're joking, someone said. Why would we joke about that? Taeho asked. He had joined the group. Because if it were true, you would be stronger than Korthak warriors. Nox pointed out. The humans looked at each other. They had never thought about it that way. That evening, Commander Quinn called a special meeting. Military officers from across the Federation had arrived at the Academy. The main speaker was a tall Altarian with many medals. His name was Admiral Zex. The situation is worse than we first reported. Admiral Zex began. The Korthak are not just expanding, they are hunting. Images appeared on the large screen. Destroyed cities, burned worlds, empty space where planets used to be. They take no prisoners. They leave no survivors. They consume everything and move. The students watched in horror. Some were crying quietly. Our military forces are no match for Korthak warriors in direct combat, the Admiral continued. They are simply too strong, too fast, too well-armored. What can we do? Asked Instructor Kira. We fight with technology, long-range weapons, automated defenses. We avoid face-to-face combat at all costs. In the back of the room, a new figure stood up. He was human, wearing a simple military uniform. His name tag read, Minho. Admiral, what about ground forces? Why, Minho asked. Ground combat against Korthak is suicide, Admiral Zex replied. No Federation species can match them physically. What about humans? The room went quiet. Everyone turned to look at Minho. Humans? Admiral Zex looked confused. I don't understand. Earth would like to help, Minho said calmly. We have military forces that might be useful. Admiral Zex looked at Minho like he was crazy. With respect, humans come from a garden world. You couldn't possibly face Korthak warriors. A garden world? Minho asked. Terra. A peaceful, low-gravity world with mild weather. We've heard the stories about it being harsh, but we know better. Minho was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. Admiral, what do you know about Earth's actual conditions? The usual Deathworld myths. Heavy gravity, dangerous weather, hostile creatures. Standard folklore from colony worlds. Those aren't myths, Minho said quietly. Admiral Zex laughed. Come now. If Earth were really as harsh as the stories claim, you couldn't have developed space travel. Harsh worlds don't produce technology. They do if the beings are smart enough, Minho replied. Impossible. Show me proof that Terra is anything more than a standard colony world. Minho pulled out a small device. I can show you Earth's actual conditions, but I should warn you the data might be disturbing. Disturbing? Admiral Zex still looked amused. The device projected a hologram in the center of the room. It showed Earth spinning slowly in space, blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown, continents. It looks beautiful, So Young whispered. Surface gravity, 9.8 meters per second squared, Minho began reading. That's 3.2 times Federation standard. The smiles faded from the alien faces. Atmospheric composition, 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen. Oxygen levels toxic to most Federation species. Commander Quinn was taking notes quickly. Weather systems include hurricanes with winds over 300 kilometers per hour, tornadoes, lightning storms, blizzards, floods, droughts, and volcanic eruptions. The room was completely silent now. Wildlife includes sharks, crocodiles, bears, wolves, venomous snakes, poisonous spiders, and insects that carry deadly diseases. That's impossible, Vex whispered. Nothing could survive in such conditions. 4 billion humans live there quite comfortably, Minho said. Admiral Zex was staring at the hologram. If this is true, why didn't you tell us? You didn't ask, and you wouldn't have believed us anyway. But how do you survive? How do you even move in such gravity? Hyunwoo stood up. We evolved there. It's home. You evolved on a world worse than Grimhold? Nox asked in amazement. Much worse, Daon added. Grimhold sounds nice compared to some places on Earth. What do you mean? Admiral Zex demanded. Well, they have heavy gravity and toxic storms, Taeho explained. But we have that plus hurricanes, earthquakes, floods, droughts, ice ages, meteor impacts, and creatures that actively hunt us for food. Creatures that hunt you? So young. Asked horrified. Bears, wolves, crocodiles, sharks. Lots of things try to eat humans, Hyunwoo said casually. And you survived? We didn't just survive, Minho said with a small smile. We became the top predator on our world. The room was dead silent. Admiral, Minho continued, Earth would like to offer military assistance against the Korthak. Admiral Zex looked at him with new respect and fear. How many troops can Earth provide? How many do you need? Outside, alarms began ringing again. Another Federation world had fallen to the Korthak dot. But for the first time since the crisis began, Admiral Zex was smiling. The lecture hall was packed. Students who never attended optional classes were there, along with instructors and visiting military officers. Everyone wanted to hear the human explain Earth's true nature. G-Hoon stood at the front of the room. He was a xenobiologist, a scientist who studied different forms of life. His presentation was titled, Terra, a Biological Survey. Many of you have questions about my homeworld, Ji-Hoon began. I will answer them with facts, not stories. Admiral Zex sat in the front row, taking careful notes. First, let's talk about Earth's location in space. Ji-Hoon continued. We orbit a yellow star at the perfect distance for liquid water. This sounds pleasant, but it creates a problem. Images appeared on the screen showing Earth's weather patterns. Our world has extreme temperature differences. The poles are frozen year-round. The equator is burning hot. The areas in between have constantly changing weather. How constantly? Asked Commander Quinn. Weather can change from sunny to deadly storm in less than an hour. Humans must always be ready for anything. The aliens looked uncomfortable. Predictable weather was something they took for granted. Our planet also has something called seasons, Ji-Hoon continued. The temperature and weather change completely every few months. Change how? So Young asked. In winter, much of our world freezes. Snow covers the ground. Temperatures drop far below what most Federation species could survive. In summer, temperatures rise so high that going outside can kill you. Bex raised his hand. How do you survive such changes? We adapt. Humans change their behavior, clothing, food, and activities based on the season. We learn to be flexible or die. New images appeared. Mountains, oceans, deserts, forests. Earth has many different environments on one world. Humans live in all of them. All of them? Knox asked. Arctic regions where the temperature never rises, above freezing. Deserts where there is no water for hundreds of kilometers. Mountains where the air is too thin to breathe. Swamps filled with diseases and dangerous creatures. The images change to show human settlements in each environment. But it gets worse, Ji-Hoon continued. Our planet actively tries to kill us. What do you mean? Admiral Zex asked. Earthquakes that destroy cities, volcanoes that bury entire regions in ash, hurricanes that level everything in their path, floods that wash away buildings, droughts that kill all plants. How often do these things happen? Commander Quinn asked nervously. Constantly. Somewhere. On Earth, a natural disaster is always happening. Humans have learned to expect them and rebuild afterward. The room was very quiet now. Then there are the extinction events, Ji-Hoon said casually. Extinction events? Admiral Zex looked pale. Every few million years something happens that kills most life on Earth. Asteroid impacts, ice ages, volcanic eruptions that block out the sun. Life has to start over. And humans survived these? Our ancestors did. Not just survived, they thrived. Each extinction event made life stronger and more adaptable. The images changed to show Earth's wildlife. Now let's discuss the creatures that share our world. A massive shark appeared on screen, its mouth full of sharp teeth. This is a great white shark. It can grow to 6 meters long and bite through steel. They live in our oceans. Several students gasped. So Young covered her eyes. Humans swim in the same water as these creatures, Ji-Hoon continued. Some humans do it for fun. For fun? Bex whispered. Dot. The image changed to a huge brown bear. This is a grizzly bear. It weighs 400 kilograms and can run faster than most ground vehicles. It has claws that can tear through metal. Terrifying, Knox muttered. Humans camp in forests where these animals live. We consider it relaxing. More images followed. Venomous snakes, poisonous spiders, crocodiles, wolves. All of these creatures see humans as food, Ji-hoon explained. We evolved alongside them. How? Did you not go extinct? Asked a Centaurian officer. We became better predators than they were. The image changed to show early humans hunting. My ancestors hunted creatures much larger and stronger than themselves. We used intelligence, tools, and teamwork. We didn't just survive, we dominated. Admiral Zex was writing furiously in his notes. What about human psychology? Asked Instructor Kira. A new human entered the room. Her name was Ye-jin, and she was a psychologist. I can answer that, Ye-jin said. Human psychology is shaped by constant danger. She walked to the front of the room. Other species evolved on safe worlds. You learn to avoid danger, to hide, to wait for help. Humans learned the opposite. What do you mean? So Young asked. We learned to face danger directly, to attack problems instead of avoiding them, to keep fighting even when injured or afraid. Images appeared showing human sports. These are human recreational activities. Ye-jin continued. The aliens watched in horror as humans crashed into each other at high speed, jumped from great heights, and fought each other with their bare hands. You do this for entertainment? Commander Quinn asked in disbelief. We find danger exciting, Ye-jin explained. Our brains release chemicals that make us feel good when we face challenges. That's insane, Vex muttered. No, it's adaptation. On a world where danger is constant, beings who fear it too much don't survive. We evolved to enjoy overcoming threats. Another human joined them. His name was Wu Jin, and he was also a psychologist. There's more, Wu Jin said. Humans actively seek out frightening experiences. New images appeared on the screen. Movies about monsters, books about disasters, games about survival. We create artificial dangers for entertainment. We tell stories about terrible things happening. We enjoy being scared. The aliens looked at each other in confusion and fear. Why? Asked Jin. Practice, Wu Jin replied. By imagining dangerous situations, we prepare for real ones. Other species avoid thinking about threats. Humans think about them constantly. This explains their military effectiveness, Admiral Zex said to his aide. They don't just accept danger, they enjoy it. Alarms suddenly rang throughout the academy. Everyone looked up in fear. Attention, all personnel, came a voice over the speakers. Long-range sensors have detected a Korthak fleet approaching Federation space. All military personnel report to stations immediately. The room erupted in panic. Students and instructors ran for the exits. Only the humans remained calm. Well, Ji-hoon said to his fellow humans, looks like you'll get to see us in action sooner than expected. Admiral Zex approached them. The Korthak fleet is still 3 days away. Earth forces couldn't possibly arrive in time to help. Minho, the human military advisor, smiled. Admiral, Earth ships have been in the system for 2 days. We were waiting for permission to help. You've been here for 2 days? Why didn't our sensors detect you? We're very good at hiding when we want to. Admiral Zex stared at him. How many ships? Enough. Through the windows, they could see other students evacuating. Families were arriving to take their children to safety. The academy was shutting down. But the humans weren't leaving. Aren't you afraid? So Young asked Hyundash. Wu looked out at the panicking crowds, then back at his alien friend. We've been preparing for this our whole lives, he said calmly. Every human has. Preparing how? Every storm we survived, every challenge we faced, every time we chose to fight instead of run. This is what we were made for. Outside, the evacuation continued. But deep in space, hidden from sensors, Earth's fleet waited. The Korthak were coming. The Deathworlders were ready. The Korthak ships appeared like dark shadows against the stars. They were massive black vessels covered in armor and weapons. Each ship looked like it was built for war, and nothing else. Most of the academy had been evacuated. Only essential personnel remained, along with the human students who had volunteered to help with defense. The aliens couldn't understand why the humans stayed. "You should leave with the others," Commander Quinn told Hyunwoo. "This is not your fight." "Actually, it is now," Hyunwoo replied calmly. Through the academy's windows, they could see landing craft descending from the Korthak ships. The enemy was coming to the surface. "Why aren't they bombing us from space?" Vex asked. He was one of the few alien students who had stayed. Min-Hokama, the human military advisor, was monitoring communications. "Because they want prisoners. The Korthak like to hunt their prey face to face." "Hunt?" So Young whispered. She had also stayed, too frightened to leave but too curious to run. "It's how they fight. They land warriors on the surface and track down everyone they can find. They consider it sport." The first Korthak appeared outside the academy gates. Even at a distance they looked huge, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in thick armor that looked like it was grown rather than made. Their movements were powerful, but slow. "They're so big," Jin whispered. He was hiding behind a wall, watching through a window. "Size isn't everything," said a new voice. Everyone turned. A human in military uniform had entered the room. He was shorter than the Korthak, but moved with quiet confidence. His name tag read, Captain Do-hyun. "Captain, how many Korthak landed?" Minho asked. "About 50 in the first wave. More coming." "How many humans do we have?" 20 Earth Defense Force troops, plus the students if they want to help." The aliens stared at him in disbelief. 20 humans against 50 Korthak? Commander Quinn asked. "That's suicide." Captain Do-hyun smiled. "Actually, those are pretty good odds for us." Outside, they could hear the Korthak calling to each other. Their voices were deep and harsh, like metal grinding against stone. "They're hunting in packs," Captain Do-hyun observed. "Good. That makes them predictable." The academy's main entrance exploded inward. A massive Korthak warrior stepped through the smoke and debris. His armor was decorated with trophies from previous battles. His weapons looked like they could cut through steel. Behind him came more Korthak, filling the hallway with their bulk. The lead warrior spoke in accented Federation standard. "I am War Leader Grimjaw of the Korthak Empire. Where are the Softworlders hiding?" His voice echoed through the building. The few remaining aliens pressed themselves against walls, trying not to be seen. "We know you are here," Grimjaw continued. "Come out and your deaths will be quick. Hide and we will make them last days." Captain Do-hyun stepped into the hallway. The Korthak stopped moving. Grimjaw stared down at the human who looked tiny in comparison. "What are you, little creature?" Grimjaw asked. "You are not like the others." "I'm human," Captain Do-hyun replied. Calmly, "Human." Grimjaw's armor rattled as he laughed. "I have heard this name. You come from a soft world of gardens and gentle rain." "Something like that?" Grimjaw stepped closer. His massive form cast a shadow over the human. "Do you challenge me, soft-worlder?" "I'm offering you a choice," Captain Do-hyun said. "Leave, peacefully, or face the consequences." The other Korthak laughed at this. The sound was like rocks falling. "Consequences," Grimjaw roared. "I am a warrior of Grimhold. I have conquered 20 worlds. What consequences could a garden worlder threaten me with?" Captain Do-hyun held out his hand. "How about we start with a handshake?" Grimjaw stared at the offered hand. "What is this?" "A human greeting. If you're as strong as you claim, you shouldn't be afraid of it." Grimjaw's eyes narrowed. Being challenged in front of his warriors was an insult he couldn't ignore. "You wish to test strength with me?" he growled. "Why not? Unless you're worried a soft worlder might surprise you." Grimjaw reached out with his massive armored hand and grasped the human's much smaller one. "This will be quick," he said, beginning to squeeze. Captain Do-hyun squeezed back. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Grimjaw's expression changed. His eyes widened slightly. The human's grip was much stronger than expected. Grimjaw applied more pressure. His armor servos whined as he used more of his strength. Captain Do-hyun's grip didn't break. Instead, it tightened. Grimjaw was now using his full strength, enough to crush steel, but the human's hand held firm. More than that, it was starting to hurt. The other Korthak stopped laughing. They had never seen their war leader struggle like this. Impossible, one of them muttered. Grimjaw, quote, S armor was now straining at maximum power. Warning lights flashed on his suit, but the human's grip continued to tighten. For the first time in his life, Grimjaw felt pain in his sword hand. How? He gasped. 3.2 times standard gravity, Captain Do-hyun said conversationally. Every day since birth it builds strong hands. Grimjaw tried to pull away, but the human's grip held him in place. Plus hunting creatures that could kill us if we showed weakness, the captain continued. It teaches you not to let go first. Grimjaw's hand was going numb. His warriors were staring in shock. This is impossible, Grimjaw said through gritted teeth. Nothing is stronger than Korthak. Lots of things are stronger than Korthak, Captain Do-hyun replied. Bears, sharks, hurricanes, volcanoes. We deal with all of them. What are you? Grimjaw whispered. We're what happens when a Deathworld decides to fight back. Grimjaw's armor finally gave way. Metal cracked as the human's grip overwhelmed the power-assisted servos. The war leader fell to one knee. The other Korthak raised their weapons, but Captain Do-hyun held up his free hand. I wouldn't, he said calmly. My people are very protective. Red laser dots appeared on every Korthak in the hallway. Human soldiers had surrounded them without being seen or heard. Grimjaw looked around at the laser sights covering his warriors. How did you get so close without us detecting you? Practice, Captain Do-hyun said. We've been hunting things with better senses than yours for thousands of years. He released Grimjaw's hand. The war leader pulled back his damaged armor, staring at his crushed fingers. I don't understand, Grimjaw said. The report said Terra was a garden world. The reports were wrong. Earth is the kind of world that eats garden worlds for breakfast. Grimjaw looked at the human with new respect. And for the first time in his life, fear. What do you want? He asked. Leave Federation space. Find somewhere else to expand. There are plenty of empty systems out there. And if we refuse? Captain Do-hyun smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. Then you'll learn why humans are the top predator on a world, full of things that could kill you. Grimjaw stood slowly, still staring at his damaged hand. He looked at his warriors, then back at the human. We will consider your suggestion. Good choice. As the Korthak filed back toward their landing, Grimjaw stopped at the broken entrance. Human, he called out. Yes? Your world. I would like to see it someday. Captain Do-hyun nodded. You're welcome to visit. Just remember to bring strong gloves. As the Korthak ships departed, the remaining aliens came out of hiding. They stared at Captain Do-hyun like he was something they'd never seen before. How did you do that? Commander Quinn asked in amazement. Do what? Defeat a Korthak war leader with just a handshake. Captain Do-hyun looked at his hand. It was slightly red but otherwise undamaged. I didn't defeat him, he said. I just showed him what we're capable of. Hyunwoo approached his fellow human. Will they come back? Maybe. But next time they'll know what they're dealing with. Outside, the academy staff began returning. Normal life would resume soon, but the aliens would never look at humans the same way again, so. Young approached Hyunwoo nervously. Is it true? Is Earth really as dangerous as you said? Hyunwoo smiled and offered her his hand. Want to shake on it? So, Young stared at his outstretched hand, remembering what she had just witnessed. Very carefully, she reached out and touched his fingers, with her own dot. The handshake was gentle, but she could feel the strength beneath it, the strength of a world that had shaped its children to survive anything. Welcome to the galaxy, Hyunwoo said softly. We're glad to meet you. For the first time, So-young understood that this was more than a greeting. It was a promise. A promise that whatever came next, the humans would be ready for it. And that was the most comforting thing she had ever heard.